afternoon. This is an odd way of looking at all of you through two pillars. It's very strange. Okay. First of all, Jared, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. I wanted to spend a few minutes with you today, not only telling you about the role of Muslim engagement at the Department of State and how we're doing things differently, but I'm going to offer a challenge to you. As I look around in this room, and I've read all of your bios, and I know about AYM because I was at the very first AYM conference in New York City, blown away by the passion and the innovation that one person can have. When you look around and you see that change needs to happen, you don't wait for somebody else to do it, you actually do it yourself. You are the change makers. You are the people who are going to affect what happens on our planet for generations to come. How many of you are over the age of 30? How many of you are over the age of 40? Exactly. Okay, good. I am too. So we have Edith, of course. Yes, wonderful. Excellent. My point is, as I look at the Facebook generation, as I look at the generation like Oscar, who seizes the day, who takes an opportunity, moves it forward, and impacts the way in which we think about how we can affect change, I urge you to think about the issue that I think about all day, every day, which is Muslim engagement. Even if you are not a Muslim, the issues that are happening today with 1.4 billion Muslims around the planet is everybody's business. For the last 2 years, I was working only in Europe on what was happening with 30 million Muslims in Western Europe. I know this country very well. I've been up and down the UK. But I also know the issues that are happening across Europe. And I see growing discontent and growing fear from a lot of people on how we think about the issues of integration and assimilation, and as we think about on a global scale, the impact of international issues on the psyche of young people like yourselves who are growing up. In the course of the last few months, I was sworn in September, and I've been to 17 countries since that time. The diversity of Islam is unbelievably important to this Secretary of State. So the Muslims in Sao Paulo are as important to us as the Muslims in Cairo, and the Muslims in Jakarta, and the Muslims in New Delhi. Whether you're a Muslim in a Muslim majority country or you are a Muslim in a minority community anywhere on the planet, we want to build partnerships. My role is very different from a typical US government person. I am not dealing on a government-to-government level. What the Secretary of State has asked me to do is to amplify our approach on the grassroots level, to take it forward on a local community level, to work on a people-to-people level. This is critically important to the way in which we think about policy, because instead of governments telling people to do what to do on the grassroots, we are flipping the pyramid around and we're taking a look at what's happening on the ground, neighborhood to neighborhood. I'm finding stars like you who are doing amazing things and saying, how can we as the United States government be the activator, be the facilitator, be the intellectual partner with you to move your ideas forward. This is really unprecedented, it is very different, and it's really important that we do this now. 1/4 of the world's population is Muslim. And so much of what is happening on the planet in terms of how we think about things and how we integrate ideas is affected by issues that are happening not because of religion only, but because of issues of identity with your generation. The one commonality that I have seen across the board, and I have talked to thousands and thousands of Muslims around the world at this point, vast differences, even between a Muslim in Madrid and a Muslim in Barcelona. But the one commonality across the board is how this generation, the young generation of Muslims, are navigating through their identity. With the front page articles in the paper and online every day since September 12, 2001 that says Islam or Muslims, these young Muslims are trying to figure out how you are both Muslim and modern in 2010. They're trying to figure out the differences between culture and religion. Let's take a look at what happened on Christmas Day with the Nigerian bomber. What I thought was really interesting when I started reading the New York Times and others about what he was doing online and asking the kinds of questions, the thing that really struck me was that he asked a jihadi website, why does my family not eat halal meat? Okay, why isn't he asking his family that? That is a familial thing. That is a cultural norm within his own family unit. Why is he going to another data, why is he going outside of the home, online, to a stranger to ask that question? What these young kids are doing, that's just one random example, but this asking of who I am, how do I balance all these identities is critical to you and me, because if we don't figure out how to offer alternative narratives to the narratives that are online 24/7, we are infecting an entire generation of kids who are not able to navigate the way other generations before them did. I think it's really quite extraordinary when I think about the fact that this generation of Muslims is dealing with issues that no other generation has built before them, has dealt with before them, and then I think about the vast space in between that and what's available to them in terms of the counter-narrative. Why am I telling you this story? Because each of you in this room have picked a subject that you think is very important to you. You're passionate about it. And as individuals, you've taken it upon yourselves to use 21st century tools to make a difference to the issue that you care about. My challenge to you is to take it the next step further. To think about the people in this room and the other alums from AYM, to mobilize yourself for something important for the planet that can actually make a difference. And from where I sit, the alternative narratives that should be presented online to push back against violent extremism is one of the most important things that you can take hold of today. And it's not because you are Muslim or non-Muslim. Violent extremism exists in every religion, and the use of violence in the name of politics or whatever you are thinking about needs to be eradicated. How do you in your generation think about that issue? It's a social issue that you all can take on. Now, I have talked to Jared, and I've talked to David, and I've talked to others, and I said, you know what? As I think about AYM, and I think about the power that each of you have, what would I do with it? You are an unleashed potential for the planet. Government, as powerful as government is, cannot do things alone. We can convene, we can connect, we can oftentimes try to get an issue done, but it's my belief over the course of the work that I have done that it's localized partners on the ground that can actually make the difference, and it's our challenge as government to be able to pull you together to think about things, to offer you a challenge. So what's my challenge to you? Start an online campaign against violent extremism. Use the tools of 21st century statecraft and do something for the planet. Mobilize young people around the world in the ways that they know how, online, with Twitter, with Facebook, with SMS, whatever you're thinking, to compel everyone to push back in a way that is a mobilized thing. We've done that with climate change. We've done that with other issues. Why are we not doing it with the issue of today? Now, Jared was very kind in the way in which he described what I do, and it's because I think, more than anything, that if we don't take the movement that is happening right now, the passion that this president and this Secretary of State has put on the table for our administration, which is to do more to build partnerships, to build trust. The president in Cairo talked about mutual interest and mutual respect. We are taking that very seriously as a government. At no time in U.S. history has the U.S. government mobilized itself around the issue of Muslim engagement. So it is not just the State Department who is engaging. It is every arm of the U.S. government that is trying to find ways to interact, to build partnerships, not, by the way, to push an agenda in people's faces. It is not, by the way, to get our ratings up on a Gallup poll scale. It is a long-term investment in the next generation. It is a long-term investment in bringing back the idea of relationship, trust, and, dare I say it, respect. So I'm asking you for help. You may not think that you have the capacity because you don't know about this issue or you're nervous about a religious issue. This is not a religious issue. This is about your generation that is getting inundated with ideology that promotes violent extremism of any kind. Mobilize yourselves. Make a difference. You guys are the future, and you guys have the tools to do it. Let me be a partner with you. Thank you.